Hey, welcome back. So you want to know, what's happening with the markets. We're down a bit today, but I want to take a little closer look at what's happening with the field of Democratic candidates to take on President Trump. We know he had his victory lap, buzzed the crowd of 100,000 at the NASCAR Daytona 500 this weekend. Then he put the beast on the track for a victory lap. And if you take a little closer look at this field, you could just start to realize why the president is feeling so good, and most of his supporters are feeling so good about it. But let's take a little closer look at some of the candidates that are still in the race. Now, Amy Klobuchar, she's been making a little bit of a move here and there, in Iowa and then New Hampshire. She had a standout showing for her. And if you want originality, if you're looking for somebody that's unique, that comes up with different things to talk about, look no further than Amy Klobuchar for originality. Take a look at this.
Wrote back, Donald Trump, the science is on my side. And I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard.
Sometimes, if you haven't noticed, you use a little humor. Like when he called me Snow Woman at my announcement in the middle of that thing, I wrote back on Twitter, I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard. So I wrote back, hey, Donald Trump. So I wrote back, hey, Donald Trump. So I wrote back. I tweeted back.
The science is on my side.
And I'd like to see how your hair would fare.
And I'd like to see how your hair would fare
I'd like to see how your hair fares in a blizzard. And I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard. Mr. Umbrella. Mr. Umbrella Man.
And he called me Snow Woman. So I wrote back, I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard.
So, I don't know. She probably used the same joke about 100 times. I guess people give her a little bit of a courtesy laugh at it, but not so original. And you may have noticed there at the end, another one of the leading contenders in the northeastern white caucus and primary states, New Hampshire and Iowa, Pete Buttigieg, was not amused by Amy. But those of you still considering Mayor Pete, you may want to take a look at his animal rights positions. And there's Mayor Pete smashing the head of a raccoon and at the same time taking a little time while he bashes the poor raccoon's head into the ground to take a picture of it. So, for all you animal lovers out there, that's Mayor Pete and what he does to raccoons and photographs it on top of it. But speaking of animals, let's go to Mike Bloomberg. Now, if you want some advice from Mike Bloomberg on how to keep your horse in line, take a look at what Mike Bloomberg had to say. This is from a list of quotes his employees made up for a joke on how to deal with a large, intransient, bureaucratic institution. Mike said, well, hit the damn horse over the head with a 2x4. So doesn't sound like, and we had a big problem here in New York with the horse-drawn carriages, so I guess Mike, part of his strategy was smash him over the head with a 2x4. But let's not just stick with animals when it comes to Mayor Mike. He's an equal opportunity upsetter. First, he kind of lays into Jewish people with this. He says the three biggest lies are the checks in the mail, I'll respect you in the morning, and I'm glad I'm Jewish. So it almost sounds like he's not really that proud of being Jewish. And when we turn our attention to some of the things he said about women, I don't think a lot of women are really looking that closely at this stuff. But some advice for women: if women want to be appreciated for their brains, they'd go to the library instead of Bloomingdale's. So I don't know. I guess he's saying women don't go to the library enough, and they shouldn't really be respected for their brains if they shop at Bloomingdale's, which Bloomingdale probably doesn't like. But he goes further, and there's other choice things he said in advising women. When one of the employees at Bloomberg, a male, was getting married, Bloomberg shouted out to everyone and said to the female salespeople, now, all of you girls line up to give him blank as a wedding present. So that was his advice to the women of the office on what they should be doing for one of their male coworkers who was about to get married. And he goes further than that when he starts talking to an employee who had a baby and was saying she needs a little more time to find a nanny. This is an equal opportunity, too. And you got to listen to the words here. He says, it's a blanking baby. All it does is eat and blank. It doesn't know the difference between you and anyone else. All you need is some black who doesn't even have to speak English to rescue it from a burning building. So in that one right there, it's kind of like it's like a double whammy because he's basically saying babies don't even know their parents. They're insignificant. All it does is eat and go to the bathroom. And for those of you who are considering this guy, he basically said the other day in his stop and frisk comments that every murder suspect can be Xerox copies. 95% of them are minority kids between 16 and 25. And right here he says, well, you don't need a nanny. You can find just any old black. They don't even have to speak English in case they have to get saved from a burning building. So a little update for you on some of the great things you should know about any of these Democratic candidates and all the great things you need to know firsthand from a guy who's moderated a debate with Mini Mike Bloomberg, Dominic Carter. You're going to find out right after this. We're going to take a quick break. Political reporter and analyst for Verizon, Fios TV, and RNN, Dominic Carter, joins us right after this.